Let's start with your story, brother.
What's up, guys? My name's Andy. I guess the first thing would be how did I end up in roofing? I grew up in a roofing family. My dad's a roofer. He's got a roofing company in Philadelphia, and he never wanted me to be a roofer. He thought there was better things for my future. He thought I could go to college, become, I don't know what he wanted me to do, but he didn't want me to be a roofer. He thought it was a hard life, and he felt like he always wanted me to do better. The only reason I started my business was because I felt like the companies that I was working for, I felt like I could do a better job, and I didn't want a boss. I didn't have big dreams of growing a business. I just didn't want a boss anymore, and I felt like I could do better than the companies I was working for. I learned really quick that owning a business is a lot harder than I thought, and I was naive, and I didn't give the business owners I had worked for the respect they deserve for owning a business. I started slow. I still did all the work myself. I was kind of just like a trades guy. I would hire helpers to help me on roofs. I'd sell my own jobs. I'd do my own roofs. And just like little by slowly, it started to pick up. It got better and better, and I started bringing more people in. And then I read a book called The E-Myth, which is all about, just basically being a trades guy and owning a business is not who you want to be. You want to be a business owner, but a lot of people get stuck, as he calls it, the technician. So I read that book, and that kind of changed the way I thought about my whole business. And I just became focused on growing my business from then on out. We've doubled every year since I started, which, it kind of surprises me a little bit every year. And the goal is to double again next year. So we'll do like 11 million this year.
When did marketing change for you? Like, how did you generate business all this year? So your dad is a roofer, and what your dad thinks. This is an interesting dynamic because we have old school versus new school. So your dad is old school roofer. What's the biggest number your dad did per year in his market?
They did 12 million before '08. So that was like at their peak. A lot of new construction though. Not a lot of in-house guys.
Relationships, not your marketing, not your advertising, not your typical sales, just a couple of relationships with the builders probably, right?
Correct. And he subcontracts everything, so no in-house guys. Just knows a bunch of builders that feed him work, which my business is completely different than him. I probably do maybe 5% of our work is from contractors. The other 95% from homeowners or property managers. My overhead makes him sick. And like the advice he would give me, the whole time coming up is like to stay lean, keep my overhead small.
Which is good advice. Good advice.
It's good advice, but I took on the liability of taking on employees, and like I took that serious. Like I treat my employees' life and well-being like very serious. So I feel like it's my responsibility to continue to grow the business so that my employees can grow in their lives, they can make more money, and they can move up within my company. And if my business stays the same size it is now, how can I move people up? Everybody would just be in the same spot year after year. And I don't, with the team I have, we're like a young team. Everyone has big dreams of what we can do together. So I feel like it's my responsibility to just keep growing the business because I don't want anyone to feel like they're stagnant.
How much are you spending on marketing?
Like 3%.
3%. It's not
of top line. Yeah. Like so fluctuates between 3 and 3.5%.
So on 11 million, you're going to spend $400,000.
Yeah, for sure.
Any door knocking?
No door knocking. No.
Why don't you door knock?
We don't do that much insurance work. We're familiar with the process and we know how to do it. But we tell people to file claims if we're on their roof and there's clear damage, but we're not out seeking to file claims. If you call us out to do a repair and we find damage, we'll tell you to file a claim. But it's just never been part of my business. We're pretty much 100% inbound leads.
And you also do a lot of metal. What's the ratio right now between metal and everything else?
Like how much metal we do?
Yeah.
We're like 70%.
Is it advertising, or is it a request advertising that you put out, or is it demand from people?
2 years ago, it was us educating homeowners on metal is the better option. Now it's request. Now people are calling saying they want a metal roof. So metal is exploding in our area. So we don't have to sell it to anybody anymore. Everybody just knows they want it. Because the insurance companies are only covering shingles for 15 years now. So if you have a shingle roof and it's 15 years old, you're going to get a letter from your insurance saying it's time for a new roof. If you have a metal roof, they'll stay off your back for a lot longer. And just the hurricane proofing, just metals where everyone's going.
Got it. I'm gonna go to questions and let's start. I'm gonna start firing them up. Andy, thanks for being humble to share your story and let us hear about your progress, success. Nice work. You created your own metal market. Awesome. Would you agree with that you created your metal market, or is it just demand in general, prices, and what happened with insurance?
I wouldn't say that we created our own market. We were definitely early, and we're definitely like the experts in metal in our area. It's us and one other company. But if you call the metal supplier who supplies all the roofers with metal in our area, they'll give you our number for a referral. So if homeowners find them before they find a roofer and ask them, hey, who's good, they'll send us their way.
Kendall is asking, where does majority of marketing spend go? PPC or social?
Believe it or not, I spend the most on mailers. On magazine mailers. That's my highest monthly spend. They work. I don't know if it's because we're like a retirement community in Florida, but they work.
That's exactly what it is.
That's my most predictable form of advertising. Like I know it's going to get me a certain amount of calls for a certain amount spent. So on the one magazine in particular, we spend 10 grand every 2 weeks just on that one magazine.
Wow. You advertise in metal there, or what's your message? What kind of ads?
Metal. Always metal roofs. There's a few, like we send them all over the place, but I like it because we can pick specific neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. So we can target the higher end neighborhoods and they work. We do the front cover of the magazine and they always get us calls. And they have call tracking, so I can monitor who called from there. I can listen to the calls. I think last month we got 88 calls from that magazine.
Wow. What's your conversion rate on that?
That one we're like 22%.
22%. So you got like 18 jobs, 15 jobs, something like that?
Yeah, which that's kind of like our average. I know some people might think that's low. We're at the higher end of the market though. So for a lot of people, we're just priced too high.
What do you do to what do you do to use for call tracking?
On the magazines?
Yes.
It's set up through them. They use a separate phone number. That's through some service that they have. And we get an email every time a call comes in with a call recording. And then they send us weekly reports of all the calls and when they came in and their name and all that stuff.
Michael's asking, what's the hook on the print? What's the message? What's the call to action?
We've played around with a bunch. We've been doing the half price gutters with any roof replacement. We've been running that one a lot. That one seems to do well. We mark up our gutters pretty high. I sub my gutters out and we mark them up pretty high so we can kind of offer half price to get a new roof.
Two people are asking, how long have you been in business?
This is the end of my 5th year.
5th year.
Mm-hmm.
What was the hardest year? This is just me asking. The hardest year and the easiest year so far in the 5 years.
That's such a good question. Because they're all hard for different ways. Probably the first year was the hardest. Just like nonstop work 7 days a week from the minute I woke up till the minute I went to bed. I wasn't making money. Mistakes were happening left and right. A lot of headaches. I was like a nervous wreck all the time. Inexperienced, flustered, overwhelmed. So probably year one. And then easiest, I would say it's the easiest now. I have more leverage. I have more employees, less falls on my shoulders. It's become more about my employees' performance than my own personal performance. So like my own personal performance is getting my employees to perform well. Whereas before, like, I had all these jobs to do. I had all these tasks. It all kind of fell on me. So now that it doesn't all fall on me, I would say it's probably the easiest now.
What kind of things do you do to build a team culture? Great question, because I'm going to start with this. So I've been in this company twice. And Jim, probably a big thing. Like one thing I noticed there, that they don't take themselves seriously. Like they like to joke around, play around. I mean, Jim, for me personally, that's builds culture to a certain culture. See also bikes, pretty much it's not all about work. It's about everything else, but you answer that.
Yeah, if there's one thing I did right, it's my employees the whole time. I've never had an employee quit. So as I've added people, they're all still with me. I've never had
Awesome.
one person leave me. And we're definitely younger. Our oldest employee is like 34.
Hmm.
So we're all like, mid 20s to early 30s. So I think because we're all around the same age, we're all hard workers, but we like have fun. We joke around all day. There's a lot of laughs. And everyone just actually likes coming to work. But there's not too much I do. I just think it's the personalities we put together. We all work hard, but we laugh, we get along. And we all believe in what we're doing. So when you double your business every year, and obviously your employees see that, and they want to be a part of it, because not many businesses do that, can double every year. So like if you were to leave, where would you go? And then you'd look at us 3 years from now and you'd be like, wow, I was with them. I could have stayed. So I feel like we're all just invested in the future, and we all feel like the sky's the limit.
Andre is asking, who was your first employer?
Other than roofers, I'm sure.
Well, just
'Cause it was me.
First employee you hired.
Well, roofers. So I was by myself. I did repairs early on. That's how I started. I ran around in a work van and did repairs. I'd sell a roof here and there, and I would sub it out. But then I hired an in-house crew, was my first employees of 5. And I used to roof with them. So they were the first employees.
What about office
And then
employees?
after that, I hired an office girl. She worked in my living room at the time, which is kind of crazy looking back. And she's still with me today. But she was the first, just like an all-around office person. And I was sick to my stomach when I hired her. I never thought I'd be able to afford it. And then 2 weeks in, I'm like, I should have hired her 6 months ago. And then that kind of started, that's the kind of the attitude I have now. I've never invested in my business and then regretted it. Whether it's equipment, the office, employees, never one time have I invested in my business and regretted it. So now I just kind of have that attitude moving forward. It's the same thing with the social media content girl. Like, I wasn't sure if I wanted to do that. I wasn't sure if it was worth spending the money on her. And now that we've had her for like 4 months, it was a no-brainer.
What was your first CRM, and do you still use that CRM?
Job Nimbus, and yeah, I still use it. I learned a lot from you, man. You can learn anything on YouTube. I tell everybody that. I was just a roofer. I didn't know anything about business, So like the roofing specific stuff, I got a lot of it from you, and then you get hooked up into that network. Like I work with Joseph Hughes too, SumoQuote company, Cam, like all this stuff. You just find out online how to do it and do it.
Exactly. It's all there. If you guys, I always say there's nothing you can teach, but everything you can learn. That's why, 2 people will go to college, same information. One will learn Spanish, for example. Another one will not, because you cannot teach someone's language. You have to want to know, to learn that language in order to be successful. Same with the business. Another good question here. Does your sales team work remote, or do you have expectations of them to be in the office for certain parts of the week?
All my salespeople come to the office between 7 and 8 and like work full time as office employees.
Really?
Like they all show up every morning.
What do they do?
Yeah, and I never even set that standard. It's just like, that's how it's been. And like when new people start, that's just like how they get brought up. Like, I know I bring salespeople on a lot differently than other guys. So like the last one, for example, Rick, he's the one doing the hip thrusters in the follow-up video. I decided I need a salesperson. I started looking for one. He worked selling shoes at the mall at Saks Fifth Avenue. But I felt like he would be good at it. He knew nothing about roofing. I paid him $1,000 a week for 2 months while we trained him and just let him shadow us. And then I started to give him appointments, like 1 a day, just to get him out there while still paying him the guaranteed salary. And then I leave it up to him when he wants to switch to commission. So he'll tell me. So he does like 1 or 2 appointments a day now. He's just getting going. He's starting to build a pipeline. He's got people to follow up with, but he's still not on commission. I'm still just giving him the guaranteed check. And then when he's ready, he can tell me, and that's when we'll switch over. But that seemed to work really well. He was able to learn and train, and was making money, wasn't stressed out about it. And even now, where he's new to running his own appointments, it's not like the end of the world if he doesn't sell any, because he's still getting the guaranteed pay. I just believe he'll be good at it. So like it makes sense for me to invest in him. But I know a lot of roofers aren't like that. It's 100% commission from day one. If you don't sell a roof, you're done. I don't see it that way.
Sure. Justin has two questions. One, you still use crews, in-house crews,
We're a
installers?
mix now. I have two in-house crews that work for me every day. They're big crews though. The one's 12-man crew, the other one's 14.
So they're
But then I
employees?
have, yeah, and then I have subs that I use outside of that for installing different types of roof and to help me out when we're busy.
Okay. Justin is also asking, how much financing do you do? Who do you use?
Probably 10% of the jobs are financing. There's like a Florida program called PACE. I don't know if anyone's
Yeah,
ever
I've
heard
heard
of it.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like they tie it to your home equity.
Mm-hmm.
That's the most commonly used. We're set up with Sunlight and Enhancify too. We very rarely use them, maybe one a month from either of them. But the majority of the ones we do are
Pace.
the PACE program.
Chris
Yeah.
Borowski and I think um, Eustace Roofing also using Pace. I've talked to them.
Yeah, it's big in Florida.
Do you guys keep a list of lead info to drip campaigns, ongoing text emails? If so, what does it look like? So I guess do you send text messages and drip campaigns?
Like automated follow-up?
Yeah.
No, I have in the past. But no, I call her an office manager. She's really a sales manager. So she's like the quarterback for all the salespeople. So after they get done their appointments, they call her in the office. They give her a recap on how the appointment went. They let her know when they want to follow up. And then she sets the task and like keeps everyone accountable for following up. And then as names get a little older, they go in her box in Job Nimbus. And then she starts to follow up. So she just does it from the office. She's on the phone. She'll send little discount emails to old names. So it's kind of managed by a person rather than automated.
Got it.
I see that one. What do you pay your installers in-house? That's what it
Yes.
said?
Yes.
They're paid like subs. So there's a foreman, and I still pay them piecework. And then they send me their numbers for the guys on what to pay each individual guy for the week. So the foreman still controls it as if he's a sub. And basically tells me what to pay all his guys. So it's still piecework.
Guys, I actually have a questions to everyone. This is going to be the last question here. Do you learn from bad examples? And this is just me personally asking everyone, including you, Andrew, because for me, when I don't know what it is, but when you see like even big business, like I love to understand why Toys R Us went out of business, what kind of decisions, stuff like that. But I'm getting so much hate. Like even this morning, I did a post about, hey, we should be focused more on net profit versus like, chasing numbers. And people are like, why do you start with negativity? I'm like, I don't start with negativity. I'm just saying like chasing profit is better. And I am learning when I see $200 million company going out of business. We had a company 3 years ago here in Minneapolis, $350 million company, Thor Construction, went out of business. They did Target, they did US Bank Roof. They did so much work. And I actually was reading about them in a newspaper. And the founder says, his quote, "We never were given opportunities." Like, I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? You work on the best buildings in freaking town, $350 million, like ramps and everything. Anyway, so I learned from it. Do you learn from bad examples? Do you learn when, like for me, when I see exposure, even like right now, Sam Bankman, right? Like when I read the scam, like it helps me understand what business should be, what it's not. But I let you guys answer. Like, do you only learn or love to learn from positive, like interviews, or do you learn actually from negative stories as well?
Me personally, just the positive stuff. Like I don't pay attention to too much of that.
Sure.
I just like follow guys. I like what they're doing. I feel like they align with what I'm doing, and I pick them and I follow them. Alex Hormozy is my favorite right now.
Oh yeah.
I think he has the best content on the internet. Because I kind of moved away from roofing specific stuff probably like 2 years ago. Early on, that's all I did was roofing specific stuff. Eric Reno when I was just starting, and then you. But then for the last 2 years, it's just the guys like Alex Hormozy. I think he's the best.
Oh yeah.
His stuff is like so technical and practical, and like it. I don't know. I just like him.
He's like modern Socrates, or like he's a thinker, he's a philosopher. He thinks about everything. Like every post is on point. 100% agree. There's gonna be a wrap. I don't like very long questions, any long Zooms on Monday morning. I want everybody to get to work. All right, guys, great stuff. Andy, thank you so much for being the part of it. Appreciate
Thanks,
you,
man.
brother.
Yeah, man. See ya. I'm not going to click anything. I'll let you do it.